Keisha, you have a personality that always welcomes challenges and always kind of is up for anything, and you definitely show it in your portfolio. Which portfolio entry was the most meaningful for you?
Thank you. Most meaningful. Well, they all mean a lot, but I'm really like, oh, this picture is horrible. That's horrible. That's me. No one's shocked by this. My favorite artifact in my portfolio is this one, and it is Artifact E, and it's about how am I engaging the Jesuit content in a global arena, and so that which relates to SD learning outcome number 4. And so what I enjoyed about this project is in my foundations course during fall 2012, Dr. Jeremy Stringer, who's one of our faculty members who's on sabbatical this year, he had us do a creative project as our final culminating project. And this is a 10-minute video. I'll send you all have the link so you can watch it later. But the video starts with 3 minutes of the story of Keisha's life. And which is really exciting because when I was at College Success Foundation, I used to facilitate digital storytelling workshops, and I got to experience one and put my digital story together. And so I start the video talking about, I was born and I'm a cute little kid, and these are some of the challenges I've had to overcome, and these are my intersecting identities. And then this video goes into my dear friend and colleague Brady Williams interviewing me about my passion and purpose in student affairs. So that's the latter 7 minutes of the video. And so there's a focus around what does it mean to be a leader in student affairs? What does it mean to have students as part of your collaborative process? What does it mean for me as a woman of color to experience this space and the different difficulties and blessings that come along with that? And so it's a very personal artifact. I remember showing this to a friend of mine who was not in student affairs, and he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, this is normal in my space. And so this is definitely my favorite artifact.
So this artifact actually is a great lead-in to one of the questions that I've been dying to ask you that is also related to 2 other artifacts. So in this video you mentioned a professional goal of being a college president. In your goals artifact, it's one of the ones at the bottom, your 5-year plan, you write about show it to everybody so they can see it. It's very small. But anyway, there's some, there we go. Where you're, in 5 years, you're moving into your doctoral program because you are on your way to be a college president. And you offered as one of your best writing samples a paper about a campus crisis that featured the leadership of the president of Amherst College. And so I'm curious about your path to the college presidency, what you have learned, what you learned studying Amherst and that president, and what you've learned in the program that helps prepare you and what you still have to learn. So what have you learned from Amherst? What have you learned from the program that prepares you? And what is still before you to learn?
I'm sorry, what did I learn from
the Amherst president? This is all about your goal. What have you learned from the program that prepares you for being college president today? And what do you still have to learn?
Fantastic. Okay. I will start by saying that I created this video, the video I created in fall 2012. I feel like I've shifted my perspective since then, although that lofty goal of being a university president is still marinating, it's still definitely there, and part of the ambition that I have. From doing the research, so I did a research paper in my Leadership and Governance Club course. And in the paper, it talks about a sexual misconduct case that was happening at Amherst College, and these students were experiencing having difficulty communicating with the staff members and reporting sexual assault cases. And so I work in conduct on campus here, and so I was intrigued by this case to study and see how the university president and university leadership were reacting. And so a lot of the issue, one, the president was brand new. So this happened in fall 2012, so the president was brand new, and so she had a lot of issues around the trust that was already developed with the students who were on campus and her staff members. And so that piece of having established trust and identity and leadership was really important, and also the authenticity and communication that she exhibited in being very forthright with the campus and saying, let's have forums, I'm going to come here with the staff members, students come here, let's be in a community dialogue and talk about community restitution around what does it mean for someone who's assaulted on this campus to be able to seek out help and resources on campus. So those were some of the elements I took away from the president of Amherst. What I've learned in the leadership and governance class, which I think definitely ignited my fire for the potential of being in university administration and being a senior leader, definitely having people who are going to back you up is really important. Having a team of people who are with you is significant. And if you don't have the leadership, trust, and respect, and the authenticity piece, you're not going, well, for me, I didn't have those things. I would not be able to function as a senior leader with, that level of responsibility as university president or senior VP or VP on a college campus or in any space for that matter. And so I think it's, as a leader, you're in some ways only as good as the team who you're leading. And that's really significant. And in the course, the leadership and governance course, that we definitely talked about that theme of you can't lead alone. You can't, you're leading a group of people or a team or a mission or a cause, and if you don't have that support of your team, it's not going to work out. So moving forward from that, what I still have to learn, I think significant spaces of mentorship around how people function in these roles and spaces. Pursuing a doctoral degree is also going to be a significant area of thinking about what I want to research. And whether or not I choose to do that in higher education or sociology is still an issue that I'm discerning about. And just more than the team that you're leading and having that respect, but also having a team of colleagues who are there to support you and guide you because they have similar roles, similar experiences, and they can kind of give you a sounding board to bounce different ideas off of. So I think developing that in a space of people who are in a similar profession and a similar space in their career will be a significant area of growth as I pursue this college presidency.
I guess it's my turn. I'm so happy that you're looking at the presidency. Back in the day, you were looking to be a professor, so great.
That's on the path.
That's on the path. I'm glad. So can you tell us what is one of the hardest artifacts for you to be able to put in your portfolio?
Yes. I'm just
And
going to pour
why?
myself some more water. One of the hardest artifacts definitely relates to learning outcome number 8, and it is the NASPA and ACPA competency assessment. I feel like it took me 10 hours to do this. I'm not happy about that. But it's supposed to be a long and intensive process, and so it's an artifact that asks you to go through and based off of the National Association's definition of what a student affairs professional should be with 10 different areas of advising, helping, diversity, inclusion, assessment, evaluation, these different elements. This took me a long time in thinking about how am I assessing myself as a student affairs practitioner, what are my areas of growth. This is why it took 10 hours because I kept framing things. It's my tendency, because my number 5 strength is positivity, so I'm like, yes, positive spin on things. And so Erica, my faculty member, she is quick to correct you. And when I say correct, I mean to help you understand how the framing and wording of things has a huge impact on how you perceive your identity, how you're perceived as a professional. And so I think this is probably why it was the hardest artifact for me to complete, and then receiving her feedback and constructive criticism and then redoing it, and having that process of thinking really critically about what are the areas that I have to improve in, and how do I personally come within myself, have an introspective moment where I'm like, Keisha, these are the things that you need to work on that are important and critical to your career. These are folks who are helping you, but at the end of the day, I believe in doing my own work, and so that also calls for me to be really honest and critical with myself around what are areas of improvement, how can I actually seek out opportunities of growth, of mentorship, of research, of opportunities to actually dive into improving.
So in all the time that I've known you, you've always struck me as a learner and one who, and Lisa mentioned this too, kind of takes on challenges and really hits them head on. It's one of the things that I really appreciate about you. And I'm curious what you learned about yourself through the actual process of doing a portfolio.
So in this artifact, I talk about the experience and process of doing this portfolio. So I will say, I like doing portfolio, kind of, sort of. I had a schedule, and I would commit like 6 hours every Saturday for 4 months to doing it, and that worked for me because it's structured, it's organized. But I also, my people-centeredness, I really was like, oh, I really want to be in community with people while I'm doing this, and so I definitely had a lot of times where I was inviting my classmates to like work study sessions, and sometimes like 8 people would show up, and sometimes I was there alone, and that's okay. Just putting out the opportunity, which really gets back to how I engage in community differently now than when I started the program, of really like inviting people to be in a process with me. So I think the best part about this process was the days when people showed up and we did it together, and so we could kind of talk through some of the more difficult parts of it, but also get work done and be accountable to each other. And I think accountability is really huge for me. Just thinking back to when I was applying to grad school and I had a handful of folks who were really intentional and critical about making sure that I was on track doing things, that same type of space of accountability I've had in this program by inviting other people into my graduate school process, with other people being my classmates. And so that part is really important. And I also think doing this portfolio also led me to go and research how similar programs across the U.S. do their portfolio process. And so, which is kind of, I would say 2 years ago, it would be kind of odd for me to do that, but right now, knowing how other people are doing that and the best practice around that was really important to me, because the efficiency piece of, is this the most critical and constructive way we could do this portfolio process is important. So in this artifact, the faculty asked us to give criticism and feedback around the process, and having looked at what Lalo Chicago was doing, looking at different programs around the country, helped me think around how I actually want to deliver that feedback to my faculty members. And so I think those were important elements in doing the process.